how do you know who to listen to? There are a million voices out there. There are tons of gurus and coaches and people that, frankly, I don't know if they're worth listening to. And what's really, really important, in the simplest way I can state it, is you should listen to someone who's been where you are and who's already achieved what you want to achieve. So why should you listen to me? Well, I don't know. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But here's a little bit about me and my background. So building sustainable communities, which is a pretty big endeavor, is a 10-year plan for me. And right now I'm on about year 7 out of 10. And for me, there's been a lot of stepping stones to get here. You don't start out as a college graduate, 22-year-old saying, I'm going to just go make a development company, buy land and develop it. I mean, at that point, I didn't have the capital or the skills to do so. So I started with financial independence. And for me, that meant buying real estate, living in a property that was a multifamily. So the first house I ever bought was a triplex where I lived in one of the units. I rented out the others. I essentially lived for free so I could save money for 3 years and use that to buy more real estate to create a small rental, portfolio that allows me to have passive income today. So that was not only awesome for building the skills of being a landlord, of understanding how to value, buy, and manage rental properties, but also I have now the benefit of passive income, and I also have some really great assets. And in the future video, I'll talk a little bit more about rentals. It's not for everyone. I personally think they're one of the best assets in the world for a lot of different reasons. I also got into real estate in a time where it was very, very beneficial, and you can't exactly duplicate what I did, but the blueprint that I followed is one that I'll teach you guys in future videos. And this playlist, which is basically the business side of living off the land, is one where I'm going to focus on finances, on business, and skills of personal development and just building skills in general. So that's the other thing. I started in real estate. Back then I was an employee. I actually was selling solar energy, which was a good way for me to make a strong income while also being in an industry I was passionate about. I believe in renewable energy. The sun is an awesome resource, and with off-grid communities, having a big solar farm is definitely one of the strategies to power that entire community. So again, taking a step back, listen to people who have been where you are and have achieved what you want to achieve. I, was a college kid, worked my way through college. I was a kind of a planner all my life. When I was in high school, I worked at restaurants. I saved every single one of my paychecks so that I could save for college because I knew my family could help me a little bit, but not put me through school. So for me, I've always been the kind of person who thinks ahead, who has definitely worked my way up, gained skills, and using these different stepping stones to get to where I am today. One of my very favorite sayings in business and in general is get to where you can see, and once you get there, you'll see further. So that started with rentals as an employee. Then I continued to learn real estate and got to a point where I was comfortable becoming self-employed. My background, I've owned about 5 businesses in 4 different industries. That includes real estate. I've done almost every type of real estate transaction, rentals, wholesaling. I flipped a couple houses, which really I figured is just a job unless you build a big company and have a lot of employees, which really isn't the direction I wanted to go. I got into business brokering, where I actually owned a business brokerage, and that was extremely important because I learned a very valuable skill of how to value businesses, how to grow businesses, and reading books all along the way. I learned how to scale a business, or at least structure it in a way where my time's not required for that business to run. And I had a massage business that was a franchise, and the business brokerage, which I started out as I wanted to build it into a bigger business with employees, and realized that really wasn't the thing for me. But it was a way for me to fund my next business, which was a education-based company, where today I have employees that run that business. I still oversee things, but I knew that I had to get to a point where I had a business that would pay my bills, and I could spend most of my time on the sustainable development and be able to dedicate time and resources and research and learning what exactly is a business model that makes sense and that works and that I can do to be able to achieve these bigger picture goals. So that's one of the reasons that I can spend time on the YouTube channel. That's one of the reasons that you're going to see more content at the mountains, because I'm fortunate enough that I've built a life where I can spend Fridays and Saturdays going up to the mountains. Sundays are just my personal time, because work-life balance is definitely really important. And that's something that I started with the end in mind and worked towards it and achieved those goals. So if those are the kinds of things that you sound good to you, or maybe you don't want to be exactly like me, but learn a few of those skills. Maybe you want to become self-employed. Maybe you want to buy a business. Maybe you want to build a business. Those are things I have direct experience with and am very skilled at. And again, along the way, each one of these served a purpose. My business brokerage taught me how to buy and sell businesses, how to value businesses, how to grow businesses. I used those skills to be able to build the business I have today in education, where I have an awesome team. They run the day-to-day, they handle the business, and I oversee it, and it doesn't take a ton of my working week. Now, don't get me wrong, I still work 12 hours a day, but those 12 hours include things like my morning routines that are more about my physical health and my mental health. I have some chronic back pain and other things that I have to do physical therapy every day to keep that manageable. The other thing, I don't say this for my ego. I honestly, guys, I'm 36 years old. Caring about what other people think is something that I left behind in my 20s. Sometimes I debated if I should mention this or not, but because I want to show you guys that I'm a credible source to listen to, especially when it comes to business and finance and that kind of thing. If your goal is to become a millionaire, and maybe we're defining that by just your net worth, that is a goal that I achieved in my late 20s. So that's something that between real estate, building businesses, reading books, building skills, having the end in mind and a plan, I was able to achieve. And so if that's part of who you want to be and what you want to do, maybe I'm a good person to listen to. The other thing is I've been buying real estate since 2012. Like I mentioned before, I own rentals and I hold rentals. I personally think that they're one of the best, if not the best asset in the world. I've done flips for money. I currently buy and wholesale land, and I'm doing that right now because I need to make money to be able to develop the land that I own. I don't have that kind of cash right now. I need to make it, and I'm also making money about building skills. I'm learning how to value land. I'm wholesaling in a way where it's very low risk to me. I'm trying to create win-win solutions between the sellers and the buyers, and it's a stepping stone for me to build skills and generate capital. It's that kind of thing. I'm not saying do exactly what I do, but use these concepts to work for you as well. The other thing that I'm very skilled at, as I mentioned before, is being able to build a business and run it absentee. I think that's extremely important. Whether it's that type of business, maybe you want to get into e-commerce or whatever is a skill that you have in a business you can apply, being able to generate money without using your time is extremely important. Otherwise, you're always going to be capped in what you can get done in a day if the only way that you can earn money is with your time. Now, that's not to put laborers and other people, under the bus or anything like that. It's just that if you have certain goals, there's only there's only a fixed number of hours in the day. And so that's something you really need to keep in mind. And again, I highly, highly recommend you start with the end in mind if you're going to build goals like this and have these lofty type goals. So when I talk about affirmations, dream building, or just starting with the end in mind and having those things top of mind, let me be a little more transparent and show you guys what I mean. I'm going to give you a quick little tour of my office. Please be gentle. This is my personal, very vulnerable space, and I've never shown anyone else this stuff, so this is between you and me. Firstly, having a dream board. I'm not going to go into the details of this. Some of it's a little outdated, but there are things that I look at that inspire me. There are things that I, aspire to achieve or just help me visually if I'm, just glancing over while I'm working at my desk, keeping these big picture things in mind, and it definitely helps with motivation. Obviously, I keep my books here, not just a nice background, but also something that I can keep in mind when I see them, the concepts that they produce. Every morning I start off where I have a certain goals, I have certain flow charts, I have certain imagery I like to keep in my mind. And again, a lot of those things are based on starting with the end in mind. You will not achieve your goals if you don't know what the end is going to look like. It's like reverse engineering, which, by the way, the other thing I didn't mention is my formal bachelor's degree is in engineering. It is something that gave me an incredible skill set. I'm very, very happy that I graduated with that degree, but I also started working for a company called Student Painters when I was in college, and Student Painters is how I learned how to run a business. It's how I fell in love with entrepreneurship and learned the value of working your butt off early to build a team and systems that you can then leverage to have passive income, or semi-passive income, as I'd probably more accurately describe it, where you're utilizing other people's time and you can spend yours working on your bigger picture missions. I have other things that have to do with the sports teams that I love. There's my student painter memorabilia, more vision boards, and my meditation area. obviously bookshelves. And if you guys don't believe me, I am an award-winning salesman, broker, and real estate investor. I actually take a lot of pride in these because these were from a note conference where they literally only handed out 3 awards at this national note conference. I was by far the youngest person in the room of about 250 people, and I won 2 out of 3 awards. I don't say that for my ego. I don't say that to impress you. I say that so you guys know I'm a credible person to listen to and build my credibility because, again, listen to people who have been where you are and who have achieved what you want to achieve. My mission is self-reliance through sustainable living, and we're here to build a community. Click here to subscribe to be sure to get more awesome content for living off the land. And be sure to go in to enter for notifications. Click that bell, get notifications, and stay in tune. Subscribe, watch, and comment. Let's build a community. See you soon.